Hey guys, it's Mary from Moongoddes Diaries. Today I'd like to talk to you about Bette Davis. I think when you make a video about Betty, a woman of her stature within Hollywood, a true legend, it's only right that she should have the first say. So here's Betty.
And what was the movie, do you think, that made the difference for you?
I think, a star must make money, be somebody who makes money for the company. And they brought to Warner Brothers the brilliant Mr. William Wyler to direct Jezebel. And that was the real beginning of being above the title to stay.
Yes. That's very important, to be above the title.
Well, it's very important. Yes, it is very important, especially in Hollywood, because that gives you a certain stature.
Yeah. Does that mean you can demand more money?
No, but they're afraid you will.
Relax, get comfortable, and come explore with me as we take a look at some of the most iconic costumes that gave her the name The Lady in Red. Hear about her many awards spanning over many decades for a truly remarkable career within the movie industry, and have a short glimpse with me into her personal life as a woman, wife, and mother of 3. We'll also explore how with 4 troubled marriages, she had to juggle her time between her outstanding career and a love for her domestic life, supporting 3 children on her own. Bette Davis was born in 1908, growing up with a love of drama and performance, at a young age already having an ambition to become an actress. With the support of her mother, who was very ambitious for her, she entered Hollywood and went on to have an amazing career and become one of Hollywood's most adored actresses. As Betty already mentioned, Jezebel was the movie that catapulted her to being a Hollywood star. It's based on a play by Owen Davis, produced on Broadway in 1933. Ironically, had Miriam Hopkins playing the lead role of Julie. Miriam and Betty went on to play famous movies together. One of the best movies, Old Acquaintances. I love this movie. Julie, a rather sassy Southern belle, wears the infamous red dress that gave her the title The Lady in Red. Julie, in retaliation for her fiancé Prez refusing to leave his important business meeting to accompany her to the last fitting of her white ball gown, makes the hasty decision to wear a striking red dress to the Olympus ball. The ball where ladies only wear white as a sign of purity and virtue. I won't tell you any more of the story. It's a beautiful movie and a must-see for any Bette Davis fan, especially if you're new to her. The red dress was designed by Ori Kelly, the film's costume designer, and created to be a showstopper, attention-grabbing gown. Julie is humiliated and would prefer to leave, but Press is upset and makes her stay and dance in front of everyone. The dress is a preserved piece of Hollywood history. It has been displayed in various exhibitions, including the 2011 Academy of Motion Pictures Arts and Sciences. Interestingly, there are a few remakes, one at the Smithsonian National Museum of America in Washington. The replicas were created for various reasons, while the originals stay safely at the Warner Brothers archives. They say that the red dress that shocked everyone was really a black dress. Now, I don't know if that's just a rumour or not. Apparently, it worked better for film in a black and white movie. It makes sense. Press is furious and determined to teach the headstrong young girl a lesson. She begs Press to take her home, but he refuses. The other couples leave the dance floor, astonished by her audacity to wear a red dress to the ball. With the orchestra playing, it is an impressionable scene in the movie. Betty won Best Actress for her role of Julie in this movie. So after Jezebel, Betty really made her mark as a star and was known for her infamous red dress. Even today, if you search the internet, you will see they portray her in red all the time. Well, quite often. Even when the dress is well known for not being red, as in All About Eve. Edith Head created the costume for this movie. She said in 1981, "Bette Davis is a perfectionist when it comes to costumes, and so am I." The dress was actually made out of brown heavy silk, trimmed in a rich brown sable. Bette Davis was again dressed in red for her role of Elizabeth I. This time, this magnificent costume was made by Mary Willis. Let's hear what Bette Davis has to say about the costumes in this movie and about the gorgeous Errol Flynn.
How did you like working with Errol Flynn?
Well, he was distressing Errol because he really didn't like to work. He did not. No, he did not like to work. It was all kind of a playtime for Errol. But he would say that himself. He was not a man of enormous talent. But in all the swashbuckling, wonderful things, he was beautiful. Just beautiful.
You looked lovely in costume.
Beautiful, yes.
You didn't look so bad yourself in the costume in Elizabeth and Essex. You've got a little nosegay from that, which you can look at again.
Right.
Not in this scene, but in many others, she wore a three-piece suit made from red wool. It was fully boned and had a lace-up closure at the rear, and it had full red-on-red stunning long sleeves. A white neck cuff bordered with black lace satin ribbon, again stamping her image in red. In the anniversary, made in 1968, again she was costumed in red. Her character, Mrs. Taggart, dressed in the red dress and eye patch, became a lasting image for the movie. Walton's work on the film earned him a BAFTA. Oops-a-daisy. Oh, I don't know. I think she really did that. Earned him a BAFTA nomination for Best Costume Designer. The red dress and eye patch have become an iconic part of Bette Davis's image and a testament to Tony Walton's creative genius. Let's hear what Bette Davis herself has to say about her many iconic dresses on an old clip from The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson interviewing her. I think this was made in the 1980s.
Are you saying to yourself, I'm a little overdressed?
I think it's beautiful.
Yes, well, I'll tell you why. This is the dress that Nolan Miller made for me for my trip to Paris for all the awards. And there was Jezebel in the red dress, and then when the film was over,
you walked out.
It just happened I had a red dress. That was great fun. So anyway, Nolan, thank you for my beautiful dress.
Well, it is gorgeous.
Isn't she absolutely stunning in this clip and in these photos too? So stunning. As a legendary actress, Betty won numerous awards, Academy Awards, Best Actress Awards for Dangerous in 1935. Her portrait of Joyce Heath as a down-and-out drunk is marvellous. Very sad movie. Jezebel, as we discussed earlier, in 1938, Best Actress Award. She was nominated for over 10 Oscars over the years and may be credited for naming it after her second husband, or maybe it was her first husband. Golden Globe Awards, Best Actress in All About Eve, 1950, Best Actress in Whatever Happened to Baby Jane in 1962. A true cult classic, everyone loves this one, with Joan Crawford. Cecil B. DeMille Awards for her outstanding contribution to entertainment in 1974. The BAFTA Awards, Best Foreign Actress, Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, and the Anniversary 1968. Screen Actors Guild Awards Life Achievement 1974, and the American Film Institute Life Achievement Award in 1977. The Presidential Medal of Freedom from Ronald Reagan in 1989. These awards are a testament to Bette Davis' talent, dedication, and legendary status in the film industry. But this video is not just about her outstanding career and her iconic red dresses. It's also about Bette Davis, the woman, and one of her most important roles in her life as a mother. Bette was married 4 times. She was married to Harmon Oscar Nelson from 1932 to 38. A musician, he claimed she always had her nose in a book or a script. Arthur Farnsworth, 1940 to 43, he passed away, leaving her a widow. William Grant Sherry, who she had Barbara with, a painter and an artist. She said he was a gentle man, but he was not always gentle. Gary Merrill, 1950 to 1960. She met Gary on the production of All About Eve. They were married and he adopted her daughter, B.D. Let's hear a little about Bette's husbands in her own words.
Sam, of course, was just, I outgrew it.
Yes.
I got older.
Then Arthur Farnsworth, businessman. 2 years, and he died.
The lovely, lovely guy died, you know, Fonny.
I know.
This would have worked. This would really have worked. He had no jealousy of me. He had a damn good job himself at Disney's. He was Yankee.
Third, William Sherry, a painter. 6 difficult years, and out.
Sherry beat you.
Yeah. Believe me.
Really beat you out?
I had this marvelous doctor in Laguna Beach, and after about taking care of me for 15 years or so, he said, I've got to ask you something. How could any bright woman like you marry the men you did?
And finally, Gary Merrill, 10 years, ending back in 1960 in divorce. That was her last try.
They adopted 2 more children together, a boy and a girl, but unfortunately their marriage didn't last long either. Bette said her husbands did not appreciate being called Mr. Davis. That says a lot. After being a widow and a divorcee 3 times, Bette went on to raise her children on her own. A hard-working and dedicated mother, she took Barbara everywhere with her. She grew up next to her mum, a loving, devoted mother. Barbara travelled with her everywhere she went, and she took her to work with her and had a private tutor with her at all times. Even Barbara says she enjoyed these years and that they were the best times with her mum. Let's have a listen to Barbara herself talk about her mother and how she felt about her.
Bette adores her mother, though she is candid about her.
Was she a tough mother?
In certain ways.
What ways?
It was worth your life to forget a please or a thank you.
Was your mother a star at home?
No, never. Never. She was in blue jeans and work shirts, and she was a working mother when she was at home. She was in the kitchen. She was tidying up the house. She was weeding her garden, planting bulbs. She was a mother.
You're making this sound like a storybook.
No. We had our arguments. We certainly did.
So as mentioned earlier, Bette had 2 adopted children. She had a little boy, Michael, and she had a little girl, Margot. As a devoted mother, she raised and played with them. She took Michael to his ball games and watched him play. They went out to work with her and to movie shoots, as well as to the beach and picnics and outings. Michael grew up to be a very successful lawyer, and she was very proud of him. Her little girl, Margot, was diagnosed with a disability at the age of 3, and although Bette wanted to have her home as much as possible, she did, however, place her in a school for children with disabilities. It was common practice for children with disabilities to live in a boarding school or home, very different from today. Bette had her home as much as possible. They played together, played records. She read to her and taught her to swim, etc. Betty loved her children very much and enjoyed the domestic side of her life. Betty is quoted as saying, "The life of a mother with her children is the only one for me." Betty and Gary looked after her financially throughout her life. She was very much a part of the family, enjoying time with them all the time. There's a beautiful photo of Betty brushing Margot's hair, but I haven't seen it recently. I saw it years ago when I first found out she had another beautiful daughter named Margot. Later in life, unfortunately for her, there was a very sad growing trend of celebrity children writing books about their distant and high-maintenance mothers. Although BD's book is not as bad as the one Christine wrote about Joan Crawford, it still upset Betty deeply and she suffered a stroke. Let's hear what Betty's son Michael has to say about this book.
My sister and my mother were very close, and my mother did a lot for my sister, and they were inseparable. I think that in retrospect, it was really horrible. I don't think anything worse could have happened to my mother in her life in that book. And as a result, I felt horrible about it also. And I told my sister, I said, look, don't write this book. It's not going to serve anybody's purpose. And she said, well, I've already written it. I've already taken an advance, and I have to go forward with it.
Beatty's book affected Betty dramatically. She was never quite the same after that. However, in 1983, at the age of 75, she rehabilitated herself. She was a very strong, determined woman, as she'd always been in her life, and she lived until she was 81. Let's hear Betty speak about her fears while in hospital while she was very ill.
And 9 days later, a stroke. Many of the doctors said I would never work again. As a matter of fact, they did not think I would live. And that was my terror in the hospital. Night after night, sleepless. Because that's been my life. My work, with the exception of my children. That has been my life.
Bette Davis was a true legend with so many great movies we'll never forget. Now Voyager, with the beautiful Charlotte and dealing with a very controlling mother. In Now Voyager, Charlotte is portrayed as an old spinster in drab shoes and a very drab dress, her niece always making fun of her. Her mother prefers her this way, so she will stay home, always, and be her companion and carer. But Charlotte suffers a nervous breakdown until she sees a very kind and understanding doctor, after which she blossoms into a very stylish woman, at first having to wear borrowed clothes. I won't tell you the rest of the story, but it is one of my absolute favourites. It's a very deep and meaningful story, and it gets you right in the heart. But this brings us to the beautiful red embroidered cape she borrows. The costumes in this movie are again designed by Ori Kelly, and it has been displayed at the Warner Brothers studio. It was showcased at the museum's Glamour of Hollywood exhibit and the Costume Designers Guild. The red cape is worn in a very touching scene where Charlotte is found out that she's wearing another woman's cape because it has a message pinned to the back. Quite clearly it's not her own. A very vulnerable moment for her, as you can imagine. It was displayed with another designer piece from the movie Dark Victory, another amazing movie about a very young and vivacious girl, a socialite named Judith. George Brent was her co-star. It included a very young Humphrey Bogart and a very young Ronald Reagan. I won't tell you the story, but it's a real heartbreaker, so it's an absolute must-see if you haven't seen it. One of her outfits in this movie included a red cap and a red skirt with the outfit. Both these costumes have been displayed together in numerous exhibitions over the years. Ori Kelly won 3 Academy Awards for his designs, and he was an Australian designer, very unusual in Hollywood, and a major factor in the success of Bette Davis movies while she was at Warner Brothers. Mr. Skeffington, a woman is not beautiful unless she is loved. I think she made over 100, too many to mention. With the help of her beautiful assistant carer, Catherine Cermak, She lived out her last years with dignity and grace, giving interviews and playing in movies still. Although she was suffering and very ill, she remained a very strong, determined, feisty woman. In her personal life and as a career woman, in a time when women's lib wasn't really heard of as yet, she really was ahead of her time. She worked hard and dedicated herself to the movies for decades. She kept working pretty nearly until her death in 1989. She made a beautiful movie, The Whales of August, with Lillian Gish and Vincent Price, with her last movie appearance being A Wicked Stepmother in 1988. Bette Davis died peacefully with her son Michael and her assistant Catherine Cermak beside her. Rest in peace, Bette Davis. Rest in peace, the lady in red. That concludes my tribute to the legendary Bette Davis. This is not a documentary by any means, just a personal tribute to one of my favourite Hollywood stars I've admired most of my life. A tribute to the lady in red. So if you've made it to the end of my video, I really hope that you've enjoyed it and found it very interesting. And I'll see you again next time. Thank you very much. Bye for now.